Move to the next item, please.
Yes, item 118, settlement of civil rights claim of Ray Lutz, risk management file number 5789, including all cross complaints. We do have a number of public speakers. There are 6 all in favor on this particular item.
Given there are 6 speakers on this item and they are all in favor, I would like to request that we give 2 minutes per speaker. Do you want to call them forward?
Yes, beginning with Ray Lutz, followed by Martha Sullivan, followed by Josephine Pirelli. And please come forward when your name is called. There are seats reserved in the front for speakers.
I spent 2 years and 2 weeks on this, so I'm going to take my full 3 minutes. I'm never going to say anyone has admitted liability in the case because that's part of the settlement, but I'll let you be the judge. I was registering voters in the Civic Center Plaza and arrested for trespassing, even though the municipal code explicitly exempts peaceful political activity in private property areas that are designated for public use. The Civic Center Plaza is an example of such a case, and registering voters is probably the most peaceful of all political activity, so I think you get the idea. It could have been settled long ago when I first filed the complaint with the city attorney, but that would be too easy, wouldn't it? I was able to make it through the quagmire of the last 2 years. Not everyone can do that. Not everyone has such a clear-cut case. Not everyone has the time to spend. Not everyone has the money to front for the costs. Not everyone is able to finally get the city to expunge the arrest from their record. The city and the police department have been authorized to use force, even lethal force, when necessary, but that authority also comes with a great responsibility. The responsibility is not to abuse the power. But in 2011, hundreds of people exercising their First Amendment rights were arrested for almost nothing. For many, their cases never filed. But they still had to endure the arrest, the belittling searches, handcuffs, booking, and for some nights in jail. Now they have to endure a permanent black mark on their record, never being able to say no to the question, have you ever been arrested? I ask you to start a project to review all of these cases. You're the body to do this. Frivolous, ridiculous arrest, petty involvement with the police, blocking a police officer, setting something down on city property, a Christmas tree, an umbrella. These should all be reversed and the arrests expunged from the records. This is important. I spent 2 years on my case. Not everybody has the ability to do this. These people deserve the same treatment. Now, the Occupy movement was a worldwide event and still has a point. Economic and social inequality exemplified by the widening gulf between the haves and the have-nots. And it has unfortunately also exemplified the fact that I was one of the few who made it through the artificial quagmire the city has set up. I support your approval of the settlement, but please do the right thing and undo the actions of the city of San Diego for others. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Martha Sullivan, followed by Josephine Pierelli, followed by Jeff Olson. And please come forward when your name is called. There are seats reserved in the front for speakers.
Could you please say the names again, since we don't have people coming forward? Please come forward so that we can have testimony a little more quickly.
Martha Sullivan, followed by Josephine Pierelli, followed by Jeff Olson, followed by Pat Gracian. Go ahead, Ms.
Good morning. I am Martha Sullivan. I live near Torrey Pines State Beach in Del Mar. I've been here on any number of occasions on any number of issues. And I just want to use this opportunity where we finally have a settlement in this civil rights case where the city's law was violated, where an express exception in the municipal code for peaceful picketing and political activity on private property is expressly allowed. And yet, the San Diego Police Department arrested somebody. And this has happened on any number of occasions. There's been another case recently thrown out by an upper court by somebody who was picketing Ringling Brothers Circus with animal rights leaflets. She was prosecuted by the city attorney wrongfully. That case has been turned over. We've got any number of cases. We've got the chalker at the Bank of America, wasn't even downtown, who was prosecuted to the tune, of probably hundreds of thousands of dollars. And he was set free. You, the city council, are the lawmakers. You're responsible for making the laws, and you're responsible for making sure that the San Diego Police Department and the city attorney uphold them. So I would like to know, when are you going to stand up to these people and make sure that people's civil rights are protected and that the taxpayers aren't ripped off for all this money? It's a political agenda, and you've got to stand up to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Josephine Piaroli, followed by Jeff Olson, followed by Pat Gracian, followed by Chris West.
I'd like to encourage you to please not applaud. We do have some suggestions from the council president to go ahead and waive your approval so that we can hear what you have to say.
Good morning. I'm a fan of the Bill of Rights, and I think our forefathers were deliberate when they created it. Everyone has their favorite amendment. The Second Amendment is a popular one, but I cherish the First Amendment. Unfortunately, the First Amendment doesn't have a powerful group like the NRA lobbying for it. There's not much money made on the First Amendment, such as there is for the Second Amendment in selling guns. The First Amendment is intangible, and it is up to the people to advocate and champion it. As you all took office, you vowed to defend the Constitution, and that includes the First Amendment. I was here approximately 2 years ago, urging the City Council to adopt a resolution during the presence of Occupy at Civic Center, expressing my concerns of potential lawsuits stemming from the unlawful arrests, and there were many arrests. And now I understand there are some lawsuits in the pipeline. The arrest of Mr. Lutz is particularly troubling because he was registering voters, another important right that we have. And registering voters was something that had been done previously right at Civic Center. So let's not kid ourselves of what was really happening at Civic Center during Occupy. The reasons for the arrest were to chill free speech, and it was oppressive. I am ashamed of the trampling of the First Amendment rights of all the people that were arrested. And in the case of Mr. Lutz, I believe that the city is getting off cheap. Thank you.
Jeff Olson, followed by Pat Gracian, followed by Chris West, followed by John Swaim.
Good morning. My name is Jeff Olson, and some of you may recognize me because I was hauled into court and charged with vandalism for using children's washable sidewalk chalk on the city sidewalks. I was charged with 13 counts of vandalism and faced 13 years in prison for doing what children do when they draw hopscotch. I support this resolution. I support this settlement with Ray Lutz. Ray Lutz deserves a medal. He should not have been arrested. He should be commended for what he did. Voter registration is an important part of our democracy, and the idea that somehow is a crime is absolutely unbelievable. I noticed that the city attorney isn't here to face people today. I'm glad that there's someone from his office to face us today, but it's interesting to me that the city attorney is not available today to answer to these incredibly bizarre cases where people have been hauled into courts for things that are clearly protected by the First Amendment. Today, my acquittal and Ray Lutz's settlement that I hope will approve today is a victory for common sense. This is really a no-brainer, as they say, and I would like to remind everyone here today who holds office that you took an oath to uphold the Constitution and its amendments, including the first. There's a reason that it's the first. It's the most important one, and you can show that you support it today by settling with Ray Lutz. And if anyone's concerned that the $60,000 won't be spent properly, please rest assured that Ray Lutz will spend it properly. He does really good work for the city and for the people who live here. And $60,000 is, I have full confidence that he'll be spending that appropriately. Please support this settlement with him. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat Gracian, followed by Chris West, followed by John Swaim.
Hi, I address you today as a member of the Occupy movement and also a citizen of San Diego. I know, as a matter of fact, I was there on the day that Ray Lutz was out there trying to register voters, and he was actually not even doing this on behalf of the Occupy movement, but this was a planned meeting that coincided, that is, the Occupy movement had a planned meeting, and it came to our attention afterwards that our law enforcement agencies nationwide confabulated and improperly and unconstitutionally conspired to assault and abuse the citizens of nationwide who were part of our Occupy movement. And they did thereupon threaten, assault, and abuse the American citizens who were out there trying to enjoy their First Amendment rights, which is, as has been stated, one of our most important rights. I find it just reprehensible that the citizens have lost control of their law enforcement agencies. It is terrible when we have to fear our law enforcement agencies, and it's improper. The government is supposed to represent the people. The law enforcement agencies are servants of the American people. They are supposed to protect and defend us, not assault and threaten us. And I fear that we are not exercising the proper control over these agencies, and I call upon you to establish a way for the citizens of this country to exert their control over their law enforcement agencies and not vice versa. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris West, followed by John Swaim. And let me also note that Vivian McCardle and Ted Melnick also submitted speaker slips in favor but did not wish to speak.
Yes, the Occupy movement started a couple of years ago, and it drew a lot of people. A lot of people were very motivated by what was going on in that movement. Unfortunately, the movement did draw some people that came in and whose aim was just to cause trouble. And there were people that were pulling knives on people. There were people that are threatening people. People were getting high on spice, which I understand can make some people violent. There were a lot of problems there. But there were a lot of people that wanted to speak their mind and share ideas about making our country a better country. That was the thrust of the Occupy movement. Now, going to Ray Lutz's settlement, $60,000 is nothing. The city spent $2.5 million on police for the police department to watch the Occupy movement in Civic Center Plaza, and that was just in the first couple of months of 2011. Meanwhile, you have people threatening people, pulling knives on people, doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and the police did nothing. Anecdotally, I can tell you the one person reported a threat of violence to the police, and the police officer says, "You're trying to change the world, you deal with it." Meanwhile, you got all these people arrested for all kinds of crazy stuff. They had Christmas trees. They took the Christmas tree. They went ahead and arrested people for setting down backpacks. This is ridiculous. This is we should be ashamed of this city. And I do support Ray Lutz's settlement. He will spend it wisely, and it's a drop in the bucket compared to the $2 million+ that we spent on this. Thank you.
Thank you, John Swaim.
Thank you, City Council, for letting me speak. Ray Lutz was registering voters. We know that it's the people behind you. They don't want voters. They don't want voters. You're not even respecting our vote now. We took a vote 17 years ago. People of the state of California, but no, because the people behind you want to restrict our rights. The people behind you want to make sure that we don't demonstrate. Can't really see that. Go ahead and take it off. That's a barrier that was over there. Real close to here. It's got a picture of a cop with his arms folded. You guys put those barriers up, not for our safety, but to close us in, to control us. And that's the problem. The people are being controlled. In the land of the free, every single one of you answers to people with big campaign checks. And unfortunately, if their wishes go against the wishes of the people, they're going to rip up that check right in front of you if you actually go for the people. But I want to tell you something. The people have had enough. We have had enough. You're not even going to... He was registering people to vote. And look what you allowed them to do. Y'all ought to be very much ashamed. You really ought to be very much ashamed, because this is your constituency. You treat us like black widow spiders after you've had your way with us, or we've had your way. You smooze us, you're all nice, and then you suck our blood.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. We do have some comments by the city attorney.
Thank you. First of all, let me thank all of you for coming down and expressing your points of view. I appreciate it very much, and I'm sure that Mr. Goldsmith does as well. As Mr. Lutz indicated, there has been no admission of liability here. And our job as attorneys is to defend the city and to defend the actions of the police officers. We don't actually go out there and do the actions, but we try to do our best to provide the best defense for the city that we can. And I think we've done a good job in this case. And we appreciate that Mr. Lutz was agreeable to settle this case. Thank you very much for that. As attorneys, and I want to say personally as an attorney, our job as we're sworn in is to protect the Constitution of the United States. As an office, we do, I believe, a stellar job of that. And whenever we defend anyone, you have to understand there's always somebody on the other side. Our job is to look at the facts in our cold, calculated way, as we are trained as attorneys, to determine what we consider to be the best approach for that particular case, and make a determination as to whether or not we can defend the actions that we are moving forward on. We've done that in every case we've ever tried. I've been with this city for a long time, and I'm very proud of the job we do in that regard. Whether you disagree or not, we can certainly disagree, but I would hope that you would understand that we are doing our best job as public servants to carry out the law as is it intended. There's always a jury out there that might not agree with us, and that is your right to pursue that with that jury. We're not always right. Sometimes a jury says, you made a mistake in this regard or that regard. But most of the time we are. And sometimes even when the jury rules against us, that doesn't mean they're right as well. But we are very proud of the attorneys in our office. We're very proud of the job that we do. And I can tell you without any doubt that our approach to it is to take it as we see it, to evaluate it as we see it, and to do what is right based on the facts that are before us. We do an excellent job of that, and I hope you appreciate that, and we will continue to do that. So, again, thank you for coming down and expressing your point of view. We hear you. We'll continue to do our job as best we can based on the facts and evaluate as we see it, but thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Ms. Emerald.
Thank you very much, and I also appreciate everybody who's down here today, those especially who are here in defense of the First Amendment. I spent more than half of my life in a a calling that helped to protect and defend the First Amendment and the people's right to know. So I appreciate that. And Occupy was an inspiring and sometimes challenging time for everybody. And I just want to say personally, Ray, I always appreciate the work you do in the community to educate voters in the community. I appreciate the fact that you work so diligently at educating voters and getting them registered and getting them to the polls. So thank you for the work you do. And I'm sorry you've been through this. And I hope the settlement will settle well with you, and that we can go about rehabilitating our relationship and working together in the community. The council, you and other motivated community members to help people find ways of expressing themselves and be part of the democratic process. So thank you, and I would like to move this settlement.
So we have a motion by Ms. Emerald to approve the staff recommendation. I will second that motion. Please vote. Clerk, please call the roll. That motion carries unanimously with Council President Gloria, Council Member Zaff, and Council Member Alvarez absent.